Yo.
I know you love it when I do that to you. You're just like, let's see if he's got that set up, and like, I don't know when he's gonna just hit the thing. Well, you know
Exactly.
that I'm about as good as it gets when it comes to that. And today we're gonna focus in on well, she is, and I gotta start wrapping and putting stuff, getting it ready.
Oh
Does
yeah.
Ashley do a lot of your the Christmas shopping on your end?
Well, typically that's how it works. She thinks about all that stuff. So yeah, last night she pulled me in and quite aggressively, said, "Hey, come on. Need you to look at this stuff. Need some help." And so we finalized a Amazon list, which was probably about at least 75 to 80% of what we needed. So I pushed that through last night
I
after we
have no
did that.
idea what she's got for the kids, except for one thing that Evie wanted.
Yeah,
So
like I said, up to
I
last
guess
night.
that's when I guess as you get older, do you start talking about all the different purchases? As the kids get older, I mean, do you start talking about what the kids want for Christmas and stuff like that?
You know what, man? I don't even remember what we did. I guess it was probably it probably stays about the same, man. I think
Yeah,
typically probably the wife stays on top of that thing because we just
yeah,
don't think about things until it's right up on us.
right.
And then we put our little input in. But yeah, it hadn't
I mean,
changed. I think
I listen to what she suggests, but and I listen to what the kids want, but as a whole, I'm not really.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like this month and last month. Now that I do what I do, I don't even know when the holidays are, man. I really don't.
Mm.
Like
Wow.
back when I was working at like a normal 9 to 5, and you might be able to relate to this when you were self-employed. I was like, what day off? What holiday?
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Well, actually, ironically, that's how I was when I on my first job out of college, man. That's how unaware I was of what was going on, man. I was just going through the motions. I would show up in my office and be like a ghost town. And I remember thinking like I walked through the hall like, hey guys, come on out. Is this a joke? Until until finally after moments of walking through every and checking every crevice, I realized, wait a minute, I think I did hear somebody mention a holiday last week. Oh, Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving. No, it wouldn't be one like that, but it might be Columbus Day,
Oh yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
I would definitely not be aware of that. But yeah, man. Unfortunately, I'll admit this. I was probably into my teens before I realized Christmas occurred on the 25th every year. Yeah. Yeah, man. I just thought it
Yeah, there's
was,
certain holidays that always are going to occur either a certain day of the month or just a specific day.
well, thanks, James. I know that now, the ripe old
I
age of
didn't
40.
realize something. Well, I never really thought about it, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, and I didn't realize why my mom always responded like she did. I was like, Mom, when is Christmas? She's like, the same day every year, son, December 25th. It's like,
Well, no, as a
I
kid, I can understand you missing that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because certain
Not
holidays they
thinking about,
always occur on certain days of the month,
yeah.
like the fourth Thursday or fourth Monday or
Right,
whatever.
right, right.
But Christmas is always on the 25th.
Right. I just didn't remember that day. Like that wasn't important to me. I got
Yeah,
out of school a couple weeks before Christmas. I remember
yeah,
that. Then you have
yeah,
Christmas. You just don't remember, oh, it's on
yeah,
the 21st, 5th. I mean, I don't remember folks' birthdays, outside of
yeah.
my parents and well, now my kids and stuff, let alone Christmas at that time. But yeah, man.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'll always remember through 342868983.
That your home number?
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah. Yeah, mine too, man. 205-785. Well, I don't want to say the rest of it, but yeah. That
Yeah.
that 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 number, that number is really close to my heart, man. Still, I'm just glad we actually still have that home number. Nobody uses it. I'm sure my mama
Right.
doesn't even answer it, but it's nice. First phone number I learned, it's just nice
Well,
to know.
that's the thing. That's why the only reason why I said it is we don't have that phone number
Oh
anymore.
yeah, yeah.
But it's interesting now with smartphones. You could just look up a name, hit it, and I know maybe like a handful of phone numbers in my head. But we're gonna get to a place where it's just hit a name, and then you're like, well, what's their number? I'm like, oh crap, I don't know their number.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm sorry. My brain went off somewhere real quick. But yeah,
Where'd it
man.
go?
Um, I think I was still thinking about, think I was thinking about my home number or something. And then when I came back in, I was trying to piece together what you were saying about the smartphones, and then I was like, is he talking about like how your phone tells you who it is and you think you have
Hmm.
their number, but you don't? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Or if in
Okay.
general you lose your phone, you've got all these contacts in your phone,
Hmm.
and you need to get a hold of somebody, you don't have access to internet, and you just don't know their number. It's like, again,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna know Jill's
Mhm.
number, you know?
That's an interesting point, man, because in college, I knew all my friends' numbers by heart. That's a
That's
good
right.
point.
That's
And I
right.
remembered that long into long after college. And I still remember the majority of them. I'm thinking about them now. But yeah, now, no,
I
no.
mean, it's a sign of like how much you really somebody's really special to you if you can just rattle off their number off the top of your
Yeah.
head, you know?
So, exactly.
By the way, I don't
Now,
know your number off the top of my head. Don't know it.
okay.
I don't know it
Well,
at all.
I don't know yours either, brother. No. Look, but that's interesting, man. Because we have this. We always talk about the pros and cons of technology, but I'm thinking like even with something simple like that. So even with say the smartphones and how things work, is this is this giving us more capacity to think about other things, or are we inherently just becoming less sharp because we're not required to think about things? Because I'm thinking about like GPS versus, you remember when we used to have to
Oh
drive to
God,
cities?
MapQuest.
Man, I remember how frustrated I used to be trying to drive through downtown Atlanta and find the interstates because their signing system was so terrible and being so
Right.
frustrated. But again, that was, you figured it out. And once you figured it out, you knew things a little bit better versus
Hmm.
now you're always following GPS and you don't ever know anything because, unless you go to a place and you stay there for a while because you're just dependent on GPS. So, is it just increasing my capacity to do other things, to use my brain for other things, or is it just dulling the I guess the sharpness of my brain, you know?
The answer to that is yes, and it's
Mm,
both.
yeah,
It's freeing up the capacity to be able to think about other things, but if you're not aware that you are able to now think about other things, you won't. You'll just use
that's
it.
right. That's
It'll
true.
make you a little bit lazy, and it's not just one or the other. I think in this scenario,
Yeah.
it's a combination of both, because it's interesting how, like, once it became accepted, you do enough muscle memory on something and it becomes just a habit. Like for me, it's just a habit to just, okay, where do you live? Plug it in, pop it in, go.
Hmm.
Now, I could just become 100% dependent on just doing that process. But for me, over time, what happens, this happened very recently, actually. So somebody gave me directions to her house, popped it in, went, first time being there, never been on that road before, found their house, we talked. So second time, never been second time on the road, never been in this town before. As I was going down the road, I was sitting there thinking to myself, it's like I've been down this road before.
Hmm.
And once I got to my destination, I was like, okay, I think that person's house is a little bit further down the road. So I went out to this person's house again. So it's third time on the road, and I still had it plugged in my GPS. But once I saw all the landmarks that I knew were around his house, I was like, okay, I've got it. If I
Hmm.
want to plug it into GPS, I can, but I don't have to now. It's locked in.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's
But,
interesting. Go ahead.
but that's how powerful, like, it's the technologies that we have, they become such a second nature. Like, if I want to call somebody, I can just pick up my phone, boom, call them. I know that process. And if I want to, if I choose to, I can remember that number
Right.
or
Right.
take the time to write it down on a piece of paper. And as I write it
Yeah.
down more and more and more, it'll probably be locked in like second nature.
Right. Right. I'm gonna memorize your number, by the way, bro. I'm gonna memorize your number just
Yours is
to show you.
205.
Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah,
yours is
yeah.
334.
Yeah, there you
We're
go.
we're halfway there.
But see, that's the interesting part is it's really not that hard.
No.
Just maybe just a little bit more effort. And I've got a friend of mine that every time he would pick up the phone, I would say 33444, and he's get all the way to the end. He's like, "Yep, that's me." So that was my little game I would play to help me
Yeah.
memorize that number. Now, do I know it now off the top of my head? I'll have to double check. That sounds right. But I
Yeah.
think in order to kind of keep our brains sharp, it's going to have to be a willful choice
Yeah. I do too. I've got
and
a
awareness that you're not being as sharp as you used to be.
right, right. I've got a point to make too that's right along the lines of that. But before I do that, I'm just thinking one cool way or a fun game to learn numbers would be, and you touched on it a little bit, but like not to have names saved in the phone. Because every time you would see it, either subconscious, you read it and you'd be like, wait, okay, that's James. And eventually you would know the number. So that's one way, kind of a fun way. Yeah, I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that because sometimes like when my phone is I don't know if it's been powered off or something, and I cut it on, then somebody calls me, it hadn't loaded the names yet. And
Oh yeah, it's just a
yeah,
number.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
I'm like,
right.
wait, who was this? Who was this? Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to say was to the to the point you mentioned that it's necessary for us to realize how much we're relying on technology, and if not, you know, we won't utilize the fact that we do have more capacity to do other things. And so that really falls right into I guess the argument that's going on now about how much technology is this technology, AI, and everything good for students. I'm talking about students. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
the world and everything. That's a whole
Yeah.
nother thing. But I'm gonna just
Yeah.
stay in the classroom. But because here's one thing, as teachers, we've been through the education, we understand what we're teaching, so we may use AI to create tests and study guides. That's strictly a support for us.
Right.
Without it, you know, we don't know any less. We just have to spend more time. So it's a time saver and an energy saver. But so on the other hand, students, a lot of times when they use it, it's abusive, and they don't know it's to their own demise because they're using it to try to write papers, to figure out, math problems and things like that. So here's the thing. You mentioned we have had us who middle age or approaching middle age, we knew what it was like not to have those things for one. And so naturally, we already had that reference point. But these kids growing up now, they don't have any reference point besides the accessibility of this type of technology. This is all they've known. So they
Right.
don't understand this whole thing of increasing their capacity to do something else because now they can use something like this. This is all they've known. This is what's inherent for them. So the struggle is even in the classroom, it might be kind of like a microcosm of the world right now, but the struggle is helping our students use it as a tool and a resource because they willfully want to learn versus just using it to get something done to get a grade. And that's really a picture of what we're faced with in society right now, right? Because this technology does make things easier, but what things do we need to still maintain?
Right.
You
In
know,
fact, that was we talked about that with somebody. Say we, like I got 15 personalities in my head. I talked with this I talked with this about some I talked about this particular subject with somebody. And the way I look at it with AI is you have to understand that it is just like a car. It's just like a pencil. It's just like anything. It is a tool and it should be used as a tool. You can't just spit out a paper completely AI generated and pass that off as your own work because it's not your own work.
right,
You've got to be willing to put in the work of I'm writing this paper, I'm having my ideas put on the paper. I just can't think of the word. What's this word that I'm needing? And you
right,
dump it into AI. AI will help you kind of regenerate it. So the question is, I was talking with a person that does music, I think. The question begins to be where where do you draw that line for yourself? And if you're a child, you don't really have a context for it because you just want to get the job done and get the grade. But you have to understand that the whole purpose of school is for you to be able to develop the skills to draw out your innate abilities to be able to think critically yourself on your own without AI. If AI doesn't exist, like in our case, like it never did, can you think critically? Can you problem solve?
bro, right there is where the rubber meets the road. That's we know adolescents are not mature enough,
That's right.
period. Even though young ladies much more mature than guys, they're still not mature enough at that point, especially guys. Let me just focus on the guys, especially the guys to actually, most of them to say, hey, school is I'm talking about 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 even. I mean, they're not mature enough, most of them, to say, I need to make sure I only use this AI, as support so I can, optimize my learning, optimize the learning process. And this can just help me kind of streamline and connect the dots. They're not there. Yeah, you got 5% of them that are there. I almost
Right.
reached for 15, but no, I'm gonna say about 5%. Um, Funny thing, man, I've had students, um, and well, no, it's just you're just not gonna. It's just not there. So what I'm finding myself, or what I've been finding myself trying to do, and I'm almost thinking. I'm not sure if we may be years down the line before we can do it, but I've been trying to give them a more of a sense of ownership in terms of like say for math, I allow them to use some AI to solve problems when they
Right.
when they struggle, but I have them take notes on that problem. I always emphasize, make sure you're learning this because really when you think about it, when it comes down to a math problem, AI is not much different from them going and watching a YouTube tutorial. The only
Exactly.
difference is with AI, they can look at the exact solution to that problem
Right.
versus looking at an example problem on a video and then working it out. So there are some differences which give more room for kind of abusing that luxury, but yeah, man, that's the challenge. You got it's almost like AI in the hands of a leader, a power dictator, whatever that is, and you're telling them don't don't use it to abuse power and to leverage control in a immoral way or unethical way, but that's kind of their nature. Like
Right.
kids and adolescents, that's their nature to abuse things. They haven't matured. So it's hard, man. It's a hard point.
Well, and how long have you been teaching uh
Classroom.
like
Like,
teenagers from
oh,
13 to 17? How long now?
oh man, 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
So you've seen different, say you age a year, but that group of people age group is the same
Yeah,
each year,
exactly.
You would say pretty confidently that as far as from a teenager developmental brain standpoint that they're more than likely to be a little bit more rebellious in their thinking, a little bit more just wanting to get it done and not focus on
Com com
understanding.
completely.
Okay.
Completely.
Okay.
Now that has been that the just want to get it done has been consistent. I mean, that
Mhm.
just comes to territory. But I'll tell you the biggest, the most stark observation I've had is I'll say the last year or so.
Mhm.
And it's funny because other teachers had the same sentiments this year, especially with, I'll say, yeah, those just coming into to being teenagers. This year, these students, I've just seen when you talk about like rebellious, it's just like their brains are telling them, I don't have to do it that way. Like this is the
Yeah.
first time like I've ever really seen the manifestation of that so blatantly. Like this is my stance. The teacher says it's that way, but why should I do it that way? That doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
I don't have to be here. That's the
Yeah.
first like and every teacher, most teachers will tell you that's what we're saying. So
Yeah.
now that we're reaping repercussions, if you will, of whatever you want to call it. The brain being changed from so much exposure to, all the apps and different things on the phones, whatever you want to call it. This year, we're really seeing that pushback and the brains of students saying,
Sure.
yeah, man, it's like it's across the board.
Okay.
They're different now. We're all saying, "Wow, these kids are different." Like they don't respond. Even 3, 4 years ago, students responded to discipline pretty much like they
Mm.
did 10, 12 years ago.
Mm.
Now they don't respond to discipline like that. Try to think
Mm.
of an example. It probably come to me in a little bit, but just know we can't talk like these kids, they just shut down and you know what it reminds me of? When I was watching Alabama football this year, me and my wife talked about this. I think one of the issues that Alabama team, because they had the talent, one of the issues that Alabama team ran into was that what's happening in this generation. I think they really struggled to gel as a team, and they
Mm.
had these breakdowns in cohesion
Mm,
because of this same thing I'm talking to you about that we see in the classroom. It's
mm,
like I don't want to do it that way. I'm not gonna
mm,
do it that way, and I actually don't care that much. It's an
mm.
apathy, man, an indifference that I see that I've never seen before, and that's the main thing: the apathy and
Yes,
indifference.
absolutely different. Well, with AI, you got to understand that it is something that I've noticed is as I'm getting older, I'll have a thought. I don't know if you're experiencing it too, and I'll have it for about that much, and then I'll go, and then another thought will come in, and I'll have it, and I'm like, I need to hold on to that. And that's, I think, as we get older, if I start interrupting you more, it's probably because I don't want to lose that thought because that's a good thought. I wanted to get it in there while I can. Oh,
You're telling me you just lost a thought.
well, yeah, no, because I had three thoughts while you were talking. So, so obviously we can't get away from the fact that AI is going to be used. So one way you can kind of bring it into the classroom because it's going to be used. There's no way you're not going to say it's not going to be used. Like when you post a video into YouTube, there's a section where it says this video contains AI generated content. So if society, and it will get to a place where AI being used in classroom, you just can't avoid it, you can't stop it, then what you should have to do on a test or a piece of work is maybe put something on there that says, on my honor, I did not give or receive any unauthorized help on this work, or I received help from AI. That way you at least acknowledge that it's in there. Because when you dump a paper into AI, it's so close to you know what I'm saying? Back in the old days when we used to write papers, if you didn't want to write a paper, you just went on the internet and bought a paper, you
Yeah.
know? Whereas now you can just dump it into AI and it'll start
Right.
getting it very
Right.
close to
Right.
how you would write. So if you
Right.
can't distinguish what it is, you have to ingrain inside of the students like, hey, I know you're probably going to do this. I'm going to weigh it two different ways. One, I'm going to give you a better or higher weighting if you're just completely 100% doing it completely, no AI help. Two, if you are going to use AI help, at least have the integrity to say, yes, I did do AI help. But again, it just makes the work for the teachers so much harder. And so the hard part
It's-
about this is as I've seen with uh, people in my industry, if you've been in the financial services banking industry 30, 40 years, you were working at banks in the time before computers.
Mm.
So now you're having to understand how to navigate, how to use these softwares and platforms and things like that. And you don't know how to do that. You got a younger guy like me that kind of understands it, can walk you through it, talk you through it. So that's the challenge in education now, is now you've got kids using AI, but teachers don't know how to use AI. They don't understand how it inherently works. So the the next business opportunity for people that are really wanting to commit to it is helping businesses and people understand how they can integrate the use of AI. Because if you were to dig into it, there's more than just Chat GPT. There's how to use it, what other programs are there out there, how to use that, how you could integrate it in. That consulting type business or anything to do with that framework is probably going to be worth money because like I said,
And I mean,
helping, yeah.
yeah, you've seen that now. I mean, I've seen for the last couple years of especially like business marketing, pretty much automating everything through
Hmm.
AI. And at first when I saw, I'm like, man, really? But yeah, now, uh, I mean, I really like that stuff. I've seen some ways to use it, but then from a teacher standpoint, Let's use the example of the English paper. Teachers now, English teachers have the benefit of their resources now that when they put a student's paper into this, they input it into the resource, it tells them how much of it was AI generated or how
That's
much,
cool.
what was plagiarized. But yeah, no, it actually senses the AI generation. So no,
So
man,
AI senses itself.
it senses itself, which is
Ah, that's
just crazy
cool.
sick.
That's cool.
That's foreshadowing of some crazy wars, man. But anyway,
Well, you know,
yeah, it is what it
Skynet,
is.
Terminator,
Exactly, man.
The Matrix.
Exactly. So so
That might
again,
be the enemy that unites humanity.
yeah, man. So in the end, like you said, it's gonna be used. It's here. It's not going anywhere, and it's just important for again, since the children, since our future, it's just I think the emphasis, and maybe this is one of the things that I'll focus on, with my organization or my organizations, man, helping schools, helping students see, understand the pitfalls of using it too much and how, because here's the thing. We know, me and you know, a lot of service jobs are being replaced right now, and they're continually working on replacing others so that in the next 10 to 15 years, the way that we see a lot of this stuff, these service industries, it's gonna be automated. It's not gonna be human beings in those positions. The only thing human beings are gonna be doing is programming this stuff. And we're already
Yes.
seeing it, but in another 10 to 15 years, and maybe less, maybe 7 to 8 years, it's gonna be a lot more. So we have to understand and we'll help our students understand, like, yes, it's nice to be savvy with this and be able to use it as a resource, to help you. But if you're just using it as a resource to pass, then you're not going to have developed the skills that you need to run this stuff. And that's been
Yeah.
my focus. I'm trying to help
Yeah.
these students understand that if you're not taking the time to develop the skills, then you're going to get to a level and you're gonna top out and you're gonna realize, okay, I've got this credential, but now I don't have what I need to move past this credential like I saw myself doing.
Right.
Um,
And
yeah,
that goes
man.
back to really two things. When I did the small group dollars and cents years ago, I don't foresee myself leading a small group anytime soon unless it involves anime. So I couldn't
That's
stop. I
funny.
couldn't help myself. I've jokingly but seriously talked about it for years that I would lead an anime small group, and Jill would be like, "What? You can't just share with them the stuff you watch." I'm like, "I understand that, but you don't understand. Anime has so many great things. It's got slice of life comedy. It's got sports. I would focus on these." Uh, what curriculum or whatever all your options are, they're all just sports based animes, and you just but but the reason, and a lot of we're so, I say it so much that you're probably sick of me saying it, but we are so blessed, so prosperous, that this generation and the next generation and the next generation are getting softer and softer and softer because of
Yeah.
too much prosperity. Now, if you had to worry about your day-to-day needs, like eating and shelter and food, you would not be rebellious, would you?
Nope. Man, you make a
You
great point.
you
Yeah.
would not you would not be worrying about your identity.
Right.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Your
Right.
most basic need is taken care of. So you're given this wide stretch of opportunity to think about things. But you have to recognize that that's what's happening. You've given this wide opportunity to think about things. So you have to have the wisdom and the discernment to narrow your focus down and understand with AI. there are levels of AI, like levels of heaven.
Mhm.
As these levels tier up, why? And it's about how you present it. It's all, for
Yeah,
lack of a better word, being a salesman of your words and salesmanship and wordsmith and sales merchant. But it's you're selling them on the idea of why are you limiting yourself to just this basic level of usage of AI?
right.
What do you want to use beyond
Hmm.
this? It has another layer up. So
Yeah,
let me ask you this. What is your dream? What is your vision? What is your this? Well, let's lay out a mission on how we can accomplish the vision. Let's lay this out. Let's stay in the
mhm,
process. You're wandering off to the right. Let's Do you still want to wander off to the right? Is that where you want to go? Has it changed? You don't want to go that way anymore? And again, with all this prosperity, think of it as like wandering in a desert. You're wandering in a desert. And so
right.
you don't have the ability to know where you're going. Well, that's where a leader comes in. That's like, I know the way. Somebody's told me the way, or actually, I do actually know the way. You can follow me if you want to, or I have enough charisma for you that you're going to want to follow me. So,
Right.
but either way, as long as these kids understand, and again, it's all the same stuff generationally. It's just people being able to recognize it's still the same stuff.
It's
You
the
just
same
have
stuff.
to have the want and the will to. You got hope is the most intoxicating drug there is. If you always wake up from a place of hope and you say, well, I had this vision of this. This is this dream that I have of heaven on earth. Then my mission is to bring heaven on earth. And then I'm going to do it by these steps, one by one by one by one. Be fruitful and multiply. The kingdom of earth will spread out. The kingdom of heaven will spread out on the earth. This is the
Yeah.
original intent of the garden. Anything that can help you bring yourself back
Mhm.
to the heart of worship or anything that can bring you back to what it is. And that's why we need each other. We can't, if we isolate ourselves and we just kind of, we don't have and again, this is discipline, have the discipline to get up at 5 o'clock okay, let me power this thing on. Let me turn on the camera. Let me turn on the light. Let me turn on the mic. And that's what you had to teach them is the beauty of discipline. It's like,
Right.
hey, I'm a teenager too, at heart. You don't
Yeah.
think I don't want to do this? You don't
Right.
think I get rebellious? You don't think I get frustrated? You don't think I cry? It's like
Right.
with Evie with being at 4 years old. She gets so. I mean, if you want to look at teenage rebellion, go a little bit further back, look at 4 year olds. They're they're absorbing so much, and they don't have the emotional intelligence, and they don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know how to process what they're learning. They get so frustrated, they get so wound up, start
Mhm.
crying, and you have to at some point draw yourself back, and it's so hard to do that. To like I used to be 4, I used to be 13. God, that's hard. God, that's so hard. But you know what's even harder? Freaking digging ditches because I didn't take the time to learn something and make fully utilize all this opportunity that I have right in front of me.
And the point to what you say, I love that metaphor, the digging ditches, because if you're at that point, then now you're at a point where you're not getting out of digging ditches easily. You're t
Not
you're talking
easily.
about some years that now you got to work slowly and methodically to
Yes.
get out of that.
Yeah.
Once you
And
dig,
you gotta
once you're in
want
that,
to. You
yeah,
gotta want to too, and you
yeah.
gotta have the hope, knowing that you can.
And so
Yeah, that's
unfortunately, yeah, so unfortunately what happens to a lot of individuals when they get to that point, now, they've been. I'll say um maybe they were neglected and they neglected opportunities so many times that once they're there, now they're just disheartened and they don't
Right.
have the will
Right.
to get out of it. And then that leads to other things, negative things. And man, when you're there, and that's the thing I try to help students understand too, is after high school, life moves pretty fast. You know, like if you don't already have a plan, have something in place, um, things start moving fast and decisions come at you fast, or
Isn't that weird how
choices.
that
Yeah.
always happens though?
Yeah,
Like
man.
life, I don't, why is that? Is it because you're caught in an environment where you're just learning so much? Because if you think about how school is, like I wish I had a break.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't have a
Hmm.
break. I don't have that like Evie and Bishop, they're off school and we're sitting here trying to figure out like, okay, well, we don't get a break. Like just because they're out on break, I'm not out on break.
Right, right,
So
right.
how do we make this work to where somebody's like watching the kids? Now we have the benefit of our in-laws. I I have the benefit of my in-laws, but there's going to be a time when they're not there anymore. Well, okay, the next step is we have to find somebody to watch our kids. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I can't just stay at home because I got work to do.
Right,
So, we get into the cycle of what the reason why time goes by so fast is because think about it, you work Monday to Friday and then you get your weekend break, some scenarios, or you work 7 days a week, but there's no rest, really, not truly
right.
true rest. Whereas in school, you're not aware of it, but you get like school break or rest. And it's just school seems so long. I was like, I'm just stuck in this environment for so long. And then you get out of it and it's like, I want to go back.
Yeah,
Send me
yeah,
back. And then it just
man.
goes by so fast. And the perception of, and I'm not the only one that says that. You see,
Yeah,
you just said it. Like when you
yeah,
get out of school, it goes by so fast. I
yeah, it
agree with that
does.
statement. You can talk to any adult out there and they say it goes by so fast.
Yeah,
The
man.
mind, how it does that, why it does that. I don't know why it does that.
And then I don't know either. Then school when you think about it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some folks went to rough schools, real rough, but it's still like a safe haven because you
Yeah.
still, in theory, you got people there that are there to serve you and help you, teachers, counselors, etc. And outside of that, you don't have that anymore. Yeah, college to a degree, but there's still so much, flexibility and freedom in college or wherever. And then, well, you got the military, you got all these different things, but like school, grade school, it's just, it kind of takes me back to what you said earlier, man. You said a lot of times what's happening is students have been given so much, generations have been so, blessed that, there's not that sense of urgency. And I'm looking at it, um, high school. A lot of kids complain about having to be there. I get it. They've got exposure to all these all the options out there. YouTube and everything shows them what they can do. They don't understand that it's not just that easy, but I get it. They see that and then in contrast, they have to, sit in these classes all day. But again, it's interesting, man. You got all these resources there, folks trying to it's so hard to get students to pay attention for 30 minutes and 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 clearly it's so hard to get students to pay attention for 30 minutes, even if, and I tell them, I'm like, I get it, y'all. You don't feel like you're gonna need this, but trust me, it's helping sharpen your brain, all this kind of stuff. But yet, it's just so hard. And I think it's cause, again, they've got so much exposure, such luxury to
Life.
to life. But this is what I wanted to share from earlier. Now, man, you got you got kids that's coming in that I know they got money. They get dropped off, super nice cars. They have all kinds of delicacies to eat and everything. But you're my lowest student. You're 6 or 7 grade levels below you. How did that happen? You're six and
Right.
seven grade levels below. Don't get me wrong. You have some deficiencies, like we have certain students that might have mental blocks and stuff. But I'm talking about a lot of times students that don't have those issues. They just
They don't
you
have the
know,
drive.
they don't have the drive. And
Yeah.
and their parents apparently, you know, even though they've had some success, clearly, I don't know where the breach is, but they haven't had the, it's kind of like, I mean, maybe they're removed from the classroom and so far that they feel like certain things are just supposed to happen. You think it's enough for your child just to come to school? No, you got to work with them at home. So it's just, I think,
Well, also too, it might be the environment too.
yeah,
We're living in a generation where both parents are working,
yeah,
and
that's
if both
true.
parents are
That's
exhausted
true.
when they get home. I mean, we get home about 6 o'clock, and we're not at that point where we're having to do homework yet, too. I mean, my
Yeah,
God, get home, help them out with the homework, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I mean,
yeah, that's
I'm
true.
barely getting it, and then you compound that Monday to Friday, and then you barely made it to the weekend, and you got stuff to do during the weekend, and you got to do homework over the weekend. See, that's the
Yeah, almost.
caveat the student, the child doesn't have to do what we do.
Yeah,
So they've got all that free time. So you got to empower the child to say, hey, look, I will help you with your homework, but you need to do this homework. This is your homework. You got to take ownership of this and do this because I can't do this. Mommy and daddy, we got to work Monday through Friday.
right,
And
right.
then when we get to the weekend, we got stuff around the house to do. So
Yeah.
either you help us out with the chores or, there's got to be
So,
some.
so,
So even
so-
if you win the lottery, I mean, I'm trying to think what's the best way for normal families to exist. And I just don't know. It's so hard. I mean, if I won the lottery, then I could be fully engaged with my life and the world that goes on around me. But I'm just trying to make basic needs, take care of those, and it's not even basic needs. So it's a weird word.
you know, man, you just this was so unexpected, but you spelling that out just made me say that's the need for refresh, refocus, rebuild, man.
Yes.
You spelling that out because it's so funny, man.
Yeah.
Because it's the change of the year, the end of the year. So I'm getting ready to roll out a campaign. We got new plant. Ava, give me that right there, that planner, Daddy's planner right there. Yeah, yeah, give me that. Give me that. Man, you just laid it out. I'm like, this. Got the new design, man. Well, you can't
Oh
see
yeah,
it. There we
I
go.
can see it.
There we go.
Kind
New
of.
design for the planner. Um, but yeah, man, that's what it is. That's just one of the resources. But I'm gonna say to you, um, because like you said, a lot of parents are working uh a lot and don't have the energy. And that was one of the motivations for me leaving my now former position for something else. And it was because I didn't have the capacity mentally and emotionally when I got home for my kids, because my job took so much out of me. So I can only
That's right.
imagine, because a lot of parents, especially these single parents
That's
too,
right.
that are, they're working hard enough to try to provide a life for their kids, and then they don't have that time again. And a lot of these single parents have more than one child on top of that. And
Hmm.
again, we know it's hard enough with two parents, period.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, that's the thing. So
And that's why the marriage unit is so important.
yeah,
No, I mean, really, if you think about it, let's just look at it break it down from a very, very technical engineering type of thing, because you have a background in engineering. Think about it. There's only so much capacity a human being has. And a single parent household, that's it. That's it right there. There's no capacity. That's why the kids are kind of running loose and wild because, again, the more kids you have, okay, you got even less capacity. There's no capacity. That's why
Exactly.
you need a two-parent household at a minimum.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man.
Because Lord
Um,
knows.
yeah.
Lord knows.
Yeah, man. He need it. It's just he built it that way for a reason. I'll say that, man.
Yeah.
And we know, things happen and everybody is not able to have that, but the framework remains the same. He built it that way
It's
because
tested
it
and
is,
proven.
yes, it's helpful. It's the way that
It may be old-fashioned, but it's well-fashioned.
yes, exactly. Exactly, man. Um But yeah, and I guess one of the last things I'll say, even with the AI, I think teachers, especially elementary teachers, they could help parents out by making since students are pretty
Using the tool.
savvy with the
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff. I mean, a third and fourth grader now has been using iPads and things for
Ah,
years.
yeah.
Teachers can help parents by making things more online, even for elementary. Like for instance, here's the contrary. My kids go to a private school. My daughter my daughter has a 200 page um book on Alabama that apparently kids all across Alabama, third, fourth graders are required to fill out this My Alabama book. It's got like 200 pages where we've got to find things online, cut it out, stuff you're not going to remember because we didn't. All this stuff about geography and all this. Who's doing that kind of work? The parent. We're
Yes.
looking that stuff up.
Yeah.
So we've got to get better with utilizing our resources, in the schools, man, to help parents as well. Because, like, Ashley's been up late at night trying to get that stuff in, trying to help my daughter. That kind of stuff, the kid doesn't even learn. It's the parent doing the work. So we just got
Yeah.
to get better with stuff like that, man.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to narrowing the focus of,
Yeah.
hey, what is really important for a child who's going to one day be an adult's
Yeah,
develop?
exactly.
Yes, to learn about the history of Alabama, that's important. Let's not do this big
It's
old massive thing, this
yeah.
project that, what you need to do over time is let them learn how to build into doing these massive projects by themselves. Keep this,
Right.
like
Exactly.
as a child, you have these toys that you grow progressively. They get more and more complex. You
Right.
learn how to do it because you develop a love for it. But if you don't
Exactly.
love it, then you go on and do something else.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know, this
But refresh, refocus, rebuild. The whole framework of that and what you're doing for the 2025 planner is what parents need. They need to be able to put it out on paper to write it down because you retain it better if you write it down on paper. That's what psychological studies are showing or have shown. But that's what you have. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. I mean, you gotta be able to have help the parents really,
yeah,
because if you don't help the parents, the kids are gonna run loose.
that's right, man. That's right. That's right. For sure. Well, so yeah, that you hey, we'll be connecting on that, man. You'll see that soon because that's something, man. I've been really toying with the pitch this time around because every year I'm working on it and I try to streamline who the audience is. And I think the what I've honed in on is basically what you said. It's the parent, but I have categorized the busy professional because typically at this point the busy professional is 30s, 40s, maybe 50s with a family.
Well, I've
Because
got
when we
something
talk,
for you for 2026.
okay.
So you got this and this, and they're One is reaching down to be pulled up. The one is reaching down to pull up the adult and the child.
Mm,
They're both busy.
yeah,
They're both
yeah,
stressed out. See, it's relative. A child is stressed out by the idea of school and having to do all this thing that they don't think is important. Parents stressed out because I got work, I got school, I got my wife, husband, I've got me, all these
right,
layers of things.
right,
See, they can only handle two layers. We've got to try to handle two layers, plus three layers, plus another layer, plus something else that just came out of nowhere we didn't predict. You see?
right.
So these are for 2026. That's that's your audience. Your audience is the adult that understands what you're talking about and the child that's going to one day understand what you're talking about.
Got it. Got it, bro. Thank you,
So
man.
I got you got your audience for 2025. I just gave you an audience for
Yep.
2026.
Yep. That's what we're working on. That makes sense because if we get the parent, the foundation, and they master it in 2025, they see the benefits for their kids. And that brings us full circle because we were talking earlier kind of about how parents not only do some of them not have the capacity because they lack time, but maybe there's some kind of um there's a lack of communicating to their kids what's necessary, what's
Yeah.
needed to really be successful. Because
Yeah.
a lot of things have changed though in the last 30, 40 years from when those parents were coming through school and how the industry was to now. And
Yes.
so, but the thing that doesn't hasn't changed is time management and how
Yes.
important it is for us to balance how we're using our time. So for
And
sure, man.
I've seen this before where kids that became adults, they said, I learned from watching how hard my parent worked. Well, sometimes the parent doesn't communicate how hard they worked. What if you foster a generation of parents that communicate how hard they work so that there's no assumption learning from observation, but you're learning from observation and from communication?
Right. Because you got a kid that may see a parent working hard, but like, I mean, but it's kind of like on YouTube. You see somebody that has these levels of success and you see what they're doing, but you don't really know what went into that. And then again, you may be watching a parent work hard, but if you're mimicking that parent's hard work, that may be two different things because again, different time. That parent may have been doing manual labor. You saw them as hard, they worked hard, but you don't desire to do manual labor. Neither would that, maybe that parent would have wanted to do that, but they did it. You don't want to do that, but you're still projecting how you see hard work because you're a kid in your
Right.
subconscious, you're projecting hard work as that manual labor when you don't even want to do manual labor. So what does it take for you to work hard to get to where you want to go?
Well, that's right.
So yeah, man, for sure, bro. But that's a I want to say that's a pound, but I don't know if that's a pound. The whole thing is a
It's
pound. That's a pound, man.
always a pound.
It's always a pound. Always a pound.
Why he's not talking?
He is talking. You just can't hear him talking. I have headphones.
Hi there. Do you hear me? Hello,
He is.
Ava. Sit. Don't be shy. I see you. I know you can hear me.
Tell him your name. What's your name?
Ava.
That's
You say
right.
Ava.
You're
That's the little
Ava.
one. Hold on. You know she's always the one that's up, man. None of the other ones. When we're doing this, the one that comes in the room, every once in a while it's Ariel, shy, but yeah, it's typically her, man. I don't know what it is. She
She's
gets up
gifted.
early.
She's an early
Yeah,
riser.
that's what it is.
If she's an early riser, then I guess we get to put her some to early work.
That's right. That's right. All right, bro, man. Well, look, I said two things. That's two names, bro, and then man. But it sounded
Bro,
like
man.
bro man. Didn't mean to do that. But anyway, all right, bro. Man, enjoy the rest of this Saturday. You plan on watching any football today?
I don't even, is it the playoffs started up?
Yeah, yeah, they started last night. Notre Dame put a whooping on Indiana, and the other three quarterfinal games are t today.
Daddy, okay. I need to tell him. I might.
Yeah.
You know,
Ava,
I'm not as football savvy as I used to be.
I know, I know. Hold on. Ava said she needs to tell you something, but let me screen this. Let me hear what she needs to tell you because
Yeah, 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 yeah,
she's one
yeah, yeah,
man. I have
yeah.
to tell you some things she says. Hold on.
They had to mute the
Talking to the
mic.
mic.
Do you have kids?
I do. I have two kids.
Bring me them.
Yes, we do need to meet them.
Yeah,
Tell them to come here.
bro, what's crazy is how time is passing. We've talked about our kids playing or meeting each other, but this time is just passing.
Yeah.
But honestly,
How
your
old is
kids are so
Josiah now?
9.
Oh my gosh.
Ilio's 7 and
Yeah.
I'm 5.
Yeah, 9, 7, and 5.
Wow. I remember when you were 3.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He said he remembers when you were 3. But yeah, and Evie says 4 now, right?
Yep. And Bishop is
Bishop
18
is
months.
18 months. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm. Woo. I
It
remember those
flies.
days. Yeah, it does. It does, man. Yeah, we'll do some soon enough, man. Maybe they get when they get a little older. Yeah.
That
Bishop
sounds
gets a
good.
little older. Yeah, man. All right, bro. Love you, man.
Oh, you
We'll catch you later.
All right,
Peace.
buddy.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.